1, 2, 3, let's go!
Hey everybody, so we're here. We're back with another Twilight Talks. We have a good one tonight. We're in Twilight Talks. It's every first Wednesday of the month at 8 o'clock, and we have it set to 8 o'clock so that hopefully everybody's households are settled and get the kids settled. And this Twilight Talks is all about you. It's all about developing the parents and helping you help your child. And we're learning and we're growing together. And so every time we have a Twilight Talks, we'll have somebody different from a particular field or of expertise that we can all learn and benefit and grow from. So tonight, our guest is a graduate of the Stevenson High School in DeKalb County. He was a football player there where they were state champions in track. He holds the school's record in the 40-yard dash. I did not know that. This gentleman holds the school record in the 40-yard dash, the top 5% in the student athlete of the graduating class of 1999. He's also a graduate of the Mighty Eagles at Georgia Southern University, where he was also a two-time football national champion. He has a Bachelor of Business Management. His wife and he, they own and operate 8 different businesses. You heard me, 8. 8 different businesses, from e-commerce to nonprofit. He is also a coach. They also have a clothing line. You got to tell us more about that, etc. He also serves and is on staff at Sandy Creek High School, where he is a marketing teacher. He is also the track coach, where he led the track team to a victory as the state champs in 2023, and that is both the girls and the boys track teams. He is looking to repeat this year the same thing for both the boys and the girls. He is also the head girls flag football coach. He is a life coach, a personal trainer, father of 5. He is a student, parent, and teacher advocate at Sandy Creek High School. Phew. That's a lot. I'm tired of just listening. But for those of you that are viewing this either on our ROSA website or on YouTube, you can continue to run this back. All of the information that you see here will be placed on our website, but you can also go back and rewind this clip as you hear more. But I introduced to you guys tonight is none other than my friend, my brother, my classmate, Eric Neal. Good to have
you, Eric. How you doing today?
That's a lot, sir. That's
yeah, it was like, as you're reading that, I'm like, oh my God, I really did do all of that. And
Yeah.
I don't say that to boast. I say that to, completely give praise and honor to God for, just being able to accomplish the few things that I've accomplished in my life so far. So since we're short on time and I don't want to talk a lot about me, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So as I call the sister prophetess, Dawn said, well, we're here to talk about how can you get your child or your student athlete to be a successful student and to compete at the highest level. And to be honest, so that they can be seen, so that they can be recruited, so that they can, compete on that next level. Because a lot of us, we don't realize that we have talent right in front of us, and parents may not even realize it. So they may not take it as serious. So I was thankful that I was able to see some of this in my children at a young age. And I started to get involved like right away. And once you mess around, and if you're one of those parents to where you decide, well, I'm going to coach one of their teams, then you'll get the coaching bug. And then the coaching bug is literally what led me into teaching. And I can talk about that in a whole nother different segment. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. So first, I'm going to brag a little bit, but not on me, but a little bit on my school, which is at Sandy Creek. And we do hold a few state championships. I know one of them is questionable in football, but I won't go there today. But definitely in basketball, we have dominated for the past 2 years and we are back-to-back champions. Also, in track and field, we have consistent athletes who are competing at a very high level. And these are student athletes. These are people who are not only, winning state championships, but they're also very dominant in the classroom, and they have received offers from major universities, like your Ohio States. Like I just saw one come in literally seconds ago before I logged in. One of the gentlemen who was an 11th grader just received an offer from the University of North Carolina for football, and he's in the 11th grade. He actually takes one of my marketing classes. So I'm going to talk about how students are able to do this, and what you as a parent can actually do to to help your child get there. Number one is this: parents, get involved. And that may sound super easy, but I'm going to say this on a high level: get involved. Whether it's, and some schools might have the what they would call parent square, and some schools might have infinite campus, and which I know for Fayette County, which is where I am, make sure that you're signing the infinite campus. You see their grades coming through. You're involved with their teachers. You are involved with everything that's happening academically, so that if a bad grade come through, we know right away. And we're asking, hey, why is this assignment missing? Like I do that to my kids all the time. And I know sometimes they may not like it, but at the same time, it is helping to get them to where they need to be. It's really staying on top of them at all times. So get involved academically. That's number one. Because I remember just being in high school, we had a lot of people just at Stevenson who they were talented, but they didn't have the grades to get to where they needed to be, and then vice versa. We had kids who were academically where they needed to be, but they were not competing on a high level. So now let me touch base on the high level. Well, I'm going to say the second thing, which is sacrifice. Now, that's not only on a student end, that's on a parent end, because I understand parents, we are also working, we are also, very busy, and, and involved in our own things. And, we want to have a life. We got to come home after work and working some 8 to 9 hours. We still got to cook. We still got to make sure homework is done and all of those good things. But however, we still have to sacrifice too. And what I mean by that is, you still have to make sure that if your child has an interest in a certain sport or even in multiple sports, persuade them to get involved, help them to compete at the highest level by getting them the appropriate training. Look up videos on how you can help them, or get involved the way I did and start coaching. And that's literally what I did. And this is about 5 years ago, where I initially started coaching my son's soccer team. And it was because one day their coach didn't show up for a game, and I knew nothing about soccer. Well, I mean, I knew a little bit, I knew the basics, and I just knew how to score and be aggressive, but not realizing that, I ended up just taking over, and the team ended up going to the championship game and ended in a tie. So, grateful for that. But I caught the coaching bug from there, and I started, coaching Little League football, and then that led to track on the middle school level. And then the following year, that led to the high school saying, hey, you're pretty good as a middle school coach. Do you mind coming over to coaching at the high school level? And then coaching at the high school level, this is last year, by the way, and helping to, win a state championship there at Sandy Creek for both the boys and the girls. And they haven't won state in almost, oh my God, it's been 8 years, I believe, since they won state in track. And for that to happen, and then getting involved a little bit more, and the people say, hey, we're getting ready to start a flag football team. And would you mind helping out? But here's the thing: we think you should be the head coach, and in order to be the head coach, you have to teach. And I was like, I already have 5 kids. I don't know about really teaching, but either way, I got involved. My wife was like, look, you would love this. Apply. And I applied, and they hired me on the spot. So here I am, coaching, teaching, still helping my wife, and what she spearheads the nonprofit. It's her clothing line. So let me first clarify that. That's her clothing line. And she is, oh my gosh, she's such a blessing, not only to me, but everybody else in our household. Say that again. I'm sorry, you broke
What's
up.
the name of, is it God's Girl?
No,
First
it's
Girl?
actually called She
What's
Brings
the name of?
Glory. Yeah, the name is She Brings
Okay.
Glory, but the main and forgive me if I'm using the wrong word, but the main thing that she pushes out, which is kind of like a series, it's called The Church Girl, in which
Gotcha.
you might see a lot of hoodies and t-shirts and things of that sort, in
Gotcha.
which, yeah, we've been vending all over the place, selling the hoodies and t-shirts down in Orlando, Jacksonville. We was recently just at the Ark, if you guys are familiar with, the Christian nightlife scene or the nightclub for believers. Yeah, we just at the Ark
Oh,
Bington there this past Saturday, and helping out and
oh,
selling some of the hoodies and t-shirts, etc. So yeah,
okay.
but that's one of the main things that I would say, get involved. And I didn't realize me getting involved would lead me to, coaching at a higher level, being a high school coach, having championship rings, and now building a whole platform, helping to start a flag football program at a school, which is brand new. And now being able to not only impact my child, but other people's children as well. And then to see the fruit of my labor that way.
Now
So that's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
let me ask this.
Sure.
You talked a little bit about getting involved. You talked about training. What is one way to motivate your child to want to do more? Let's say, for instance, you mentioned soccer. If a child plays soccer
Mhm.
and you really see that there is maybe some talent there, and you want to motivate them to, train more or to do more, did you have to do a lot of pushing in order to get your child to the point where this is something, or even the kids you coach, you get them to the
Mhm.
point where this is something they can do on their own as far as discipline and getting in a regimen of training on their own? Or did you always have to say, go do this, or, go to your training, do this, go outside and do
Mhm.
100 push-ups or whatever it is y'all do when you train? But how do you,
Yeah, so excellent question. In the beginning, it was setting a standard of this is where we should be. If first of all, finding out, well, what is your goal? And I found out for two of my kids, their goal was to, to play football at a high level.
Mhm.
My oldest son, he wanted to compete at a high level for track and field on the college scene. And one of my children even said, hey, I want to go to the NFL. So I was like, okay, well, if you want to go to the NFL, which is 1% of the 1% of people who actually play high school football, that's a very small percentage. Here
Yeah.
is what I would actually say you
Mhm.
need to do, which is number one, you're going to have to sacrifice. Number two, you can't be like everybody else. So, in other words, when other people are out, acting crazy in class and cutting up, you can't be the one cutting up. You can't be the one skipping practice. You have to be a leader. You have to go all out every single play. And then once they start doing that and seeing some of the results and meeting the standard, then it was almost like putting them on autopilot. And then from there, I remember there was a season to where for my middle son Sean, he was able to get training outside of the school training, and it was a huge sacrifice. It was every Sunday. It was we had to drive an hour away,
Oh,
to go to the training. Oh
yeah.
yeah, and then we had to be there for 2 hours, because the training was intensive, and then it wasn't cheap either. We're talking about paying some $300 to $400, per month just for them to get this certain training. But then from the results that came through that training,
Oh,
it was something to where it made them want to work even harder.
yeah.
So, but every now and then I will say, at least for my kids, and then some of the kids who I also coach, you still have to, nip them in the bud a little bit. Say,
Yeah.
hey, all right, you're slacking a little bit. You're not upholding the standard. We don't do that. We're up here. We're
Right.
not down here. We're up here. So remember who you are. Remember your goal. And if your goal is you want a state championship, if your goal is you want to be recognized, you want to get a scholarship, or you want to play at the highest level possible, or if you want to be in the Hall of Fame, look, listen, you have to be part of a group of people who are not only willing to sacrifice, but willing to set yourself apart when other people are doing stuff that they're
Mm.
not supposed to do. You are so focused and honed in on what you want to have done, that nothing can detour you off that path that you have set. And you can use that same um, way of thinking in a lot of ways in your life. So even with your finances, for adults, hey, this is something to where, look, this is my goal to where I want to achieve this. Okay, well, what are you doing to set that apart? And if I can speak this way spiritually, there's something to where God told me, look, I needed to wake up at 5:30 every day for the rest of my life and get up into no matter what's going on, whether it's vacation, whether you're tired, no matter what, get up, you know, have this quiet time and go from there. So those are different things to where, look, if you want to be the best at what you do, it's going to take a sacrifice. It's going to take you doing more than the average person. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I can't wait to play this recording back. I'm gonna go sitting in front of my children. Here, listen to this. Take note. I love what I hear you saying is to talk to our children about being set apart and being set apart in setting goals. And that set apart is a big piece. It's big in so many ways, because I think as minorities, as Black people, already have to set ourselves apart from the jump. We all already have to do more and be our best at a top level on, this whole other plane. But then even as Christians with our faith, thank God, a lot of times, especially our boys, a lot of times this world, the way that this society is, it's hard for them to feel comfortable being set apart and not kind of blending into what society says they should be doing, how they should be acting, and what they're doing. And so you have your being a person of color, you have being a young boy, and then you have somebody that is really trying to set themselves apart as an athlete. And then on top of setting themselves apart as an athlete, they also have to meet the mark a student, because you don't want to fall in that category of, oh, I'm just this, Black men are just jocks. That's all. They just good in sports. No, you need to set yourself apart and set in all of these areas at the same time. So even as a mom, knowing all of, as a parent, knowing all of these challenges or all of these hurdles that these boys are facing, is your role as a parent to make sure they don't get discouraged.
Yeah.
And
that could be challenging at times. And it could also be humbling too, because a lot of times, and as a parent, because you're a mother of 3 boys, I'm a father of 3 boys. It's times where we have to put our own feelings to the side for the benefit of them. Times where we're tired and we got to realize, hey, if I slow down, then they're going to slow down. So we have to still keep the standard going. And that just comes with the territory of not only being a parent, but being a coach and being a believer as well. Because if we drop the standard, guess what? They can only hit where the ceiling is as the standard keep dropping.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's important for us, no matter what, whether it's integrity, whether it's working out, whether it's, doing the right thing, no matter who is around, whether it's not blending in with, worldly things. If you're a believer and you're a believer, but hey, this is going to put me at a higher level, I'm getting more followers. No. And I don't want to go into the preaching aspect of it, but look, Jesus made himself no reputation. So
absolutely.
Yeah, now people still heard about him, but he made himself no reputation. So just making sure you're not doing stuff, just to gain extra followers. Now I get that. Now God tell you do something, do it, and you will automatically gain those people. But don't do it to get. But do it just out of the sake of obedience. But absolutely, man, you said something there.
Yeah. It's a lot to think about. So we have get involved, to sacrifice, parents and students alike. And then you said to be set apart, and it's important to set goals. And that's something that we learn even as leaders, that you can't track progress if you don't first set your goals. The Bible says in Habakkuk to write the vision and to make it plain. And so what's the point in trying to run with it? You don't have vision. And so my perish, God's people perish who don't have a clear vision. So I think that's important. What else you got, Coach? What else you got?
Well, and just to piggyback off of what you say, just make sure we don't end up on autopilot.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of times to where we're just, we get so used to going through the motions that we forget that we have a higher calling, that we forget that we actually set a goal because we're just going through the motions. And I'm very guilty of that. And I thank God for my wife because she is the one to be like, hey, now you slipping back. This ain't what we supposed to be doing now. So I'm grateful that, she's kind of like a coach to me while I'm a coach to these students and everybody else. And I would truly say get somebody who can hold you accountable. Because
Yes.
and if I can word it this way, even Jesus was around people who held him accountable. King David had people who held him accountable, which was, Samuel the prophet, and then it was Nathan the prophet. People who held him accountable. So get around people who are going to hold you accountable. Tell your close people your goals on what you want to do. Some of my, closest friends, they're they know, my heart. They know what my goals are. And every now and then, like, all right, well, how you doing on this? I ain't heard from you in a little while about this.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Yeah. So get around people who are gonna have like-mindedness, because when they say birds of the feather flock together, that's so true. Because then you will start finding yourself around people who are willing to work just as hard as you to get the same thing that you want. So and that's why I'm grateful, at Sandy Creek, to where I'm around a body of athletes to where a lot of these kids, they want the same goals. They're so used to winning. A lot of them don't really know how to lose because they're so used to winning. And because of that, the
Oh,
standard is here. And the standard is, look,
that's
we're
good.
not only, performing well in the classroom, we're not only performing well on the court or on the field or on the track, but we're winning at life. And I'm
Yeah.
grateful that we have, alumni like Brian Branch, like Mike Hilton, people like Megatron, who were part of Sandy Creek, which is Calvin Johnson, who just got in the Hall of Fame about a year and a half ago. So, grateful for people like that who helped to set that standard. And here we are now, years later, to where there's a program in almost every sport to where the standard is here. So, but it's again getting around people who are like-minded that can help push
Yeah.
the same goals that you have. Because I've seen it in the classroom to where different players are like, hey man, they'll get on somebody who's part of their team. Bruh, you out of order. Why are you doing this? You're gonna affect the team. I don't need you getting in trouble because hey man, we need you for this game. I've seen people break up fights because they
Right.
didn't want their teammate getting in trouble because they understand the standard is here. And not like one of the people, and I still remember this at Stevenson when we first opened, where it was a fight broke out with one of the football players, and then all the football players jumped in. No, it's a different ball game now. Now they're like, look, we got cameras. You get in a
Yeah.
fight. Everybody who threw a blow,
Yep.
you're getting
Going.
suspended or you're getting kicked out of school. And it's just not worth it. It's just completely not worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, wow. You really schools tonight. And I'm grateful, and I want to hear more, but I don't want to keep you too long. We're gonna have to do a part 2 or something, or a coaches roundtable or something. You've given us a lot to think about. If you have any last, if I said, all right, Eric, we have a panel of parents in front of you, before you. If there was any last words of wisdom or advice you would give them regarding parenting their son or even their daughter, parenting their student athlete, what would it be? The final kind of icing on the cake to top it all off. What would it be?
Well, I would say this: remember the end goal. And remember, when you're
Yeah.
not seeing it happen right away, to stay the course, because they're only going to do what they see, not what we say, but what they see.
Yeah.
And that I had to learn the hard way, even myself. because our children, especially our children, not they, but we do what we see versus what we hear all the time. So, and that's super important. So just stay encouraged. And when you're not seeing it happen right away, continue to push them, continue to have positive reinforcement. And what I mean by positive reinforcement is reward them. You know, when they're doing something right, reward them.
Mhm.
Don't just say something. And my child even said this the other day, and it took me back for a minute. I was like, man, even I had to mess up and get it right. It was like, Dad, you only say something when I have a C. You know, you never say nothing when I get an A. And I was like, dang, you know what? You're right. I forgot. I'm supposed to be doing positive reinforcement too. So always reinforce the good behavior versus just getting on them every time they're doing something bad.
Ooh,
Because then
Lord.
it turns into a slave mentality of,
Yes.
oh, I'm only going to correct you when you're out of order versus applauding you whenever you're doing something great. Because I realize that even when it comes to Jesus and getting saved, it's the goodness of God that leads a man to repentance, not necessarily all the time the hell sermon. So always have that positive reinforcement, because positive reinforcement is the thing that's going to help get our children to the visions and the goals that they have, and the thing that we even have and we see as a vision. Oh,
Uh-oh. Did I lose him? Or is that me breaking up? Uh-oh. Hello, hello. Hello. Uh-oh, did I miss you? Is that me frozen or is that you? Oh, okay. That's me frozen. Okay, my bad. Let's see. Maybe I can. Mm, I don't know what I did. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. Well, y'all, it is 8:30 on the dot. And I know Eric is probably gonna try to get back in, but we thank you, life coach and track coach and everything, Coach Eric, for just the wisdom that you dropped and the knowledge that you dropped regarding student athletes tonight. And guys, you can join us here every Wednesday for Twilight Talks just for parents. If you have any questions that you want to drop before we go on any Twilight Talks, feel free to email us at info@raisingoursonsinamerica.org. You can also subscribe to receive any of our recurring notifications simply by going to www.raisingoursonsinamerica.org. And then we're also open for mentors. And so if you want to sign up to be a mentor or know someone who wants to be a mentor, just shoot them on over to our website, and we'll shoot you the information. All right. Y'all have a great evening. And don't forget, at Rosa, we are empowering, are encouraging, and we are educating. Have a good night.